Greetings, comrades. Who do you think is the real elite of Russia nowadays? Well, those with money and connections, of course, but that's not what I mean. What profession is seen as the most prestigious, well-paid and in demand? Usually, every cook praises his own broth, so it's very difficult to get a clear answer to this question. But in fact, at least in the last century, this could be easily traced by looking at who girls were most eager to marry. In the late USSR, girls dreamed of marrying diplomats, party officials or sailors. In the 90s, it was gangsters or successful businessmen, future oligarchs. Although I already said gangsters, why am I repeating myself twice? With the 2000s, bankers and lawyers took the spotlight, and now in the 2020s, they reign supreme. The aitishniki. Who are the aitishniki? The term refers to IT specialists, but it's really vague. It is frequently used to describe everyone who happened to work in IT companies, from developers and engineers to marketers, project managers and even recruiters. Now, what makes this field so elite in modern Russia? I think the most popular answer to the question is, well, of course, money. But even here, it is not all that simple, especially if you focus not on your gut feelings, but on the raw numbers. According to a November 2024 salary ranking, top-paid jobs include DevOps engineers and data scientists, but also welders, truckers and real estate agents. High salaries also exist in the oil and gas sector, for engineers for example. Some drillers are earning over 400,000 rubles a month. IT salaries are competitive, are good, but not drastically higher than those in other fields. And besides, there has been another career path in Russia in recent years which can bring even more money than DevOps career. True, there are some disadvantages there too, such as working away from home and other small issues. In general, it's not just about the cash. An ordinary middle developer and a good welder earn comparable money. So why are there millions of people in Russia who want to become developers, but there is a catastrophic shortage of welders? What is it about the elite profession of a programmer or designer that the welding profession does not have? Let's find out. First of all, the question that arises is, are IT specialists really some kind of elite? Maybe I just made it up.
My source is that I made it the fuck up!
Especially since I must confess, I am not neutral or unbiased when it comes to this topic. Dear aitishniki, if you watch this video and hear me saying some nasty things about you, know that I'm just jealous.
Wishing everyone goodness and positivity. Bye.
But if you just talk to an aitishnik for 5 minutes, you'll find that many really see themselves as a unique and privileged caste. This is especially noticeable in people who have only recently gotten into IT. They sincerely consider themselves the winners of this life, beings who have passed into the category of demigods, people who are destined to shape the future, and for the very fact of their ability to code, they are already entitled to all conceivable and inconceivable privileges. It is not for nothing that they say that there is only one thing in the world bigger than an IT specialist's salary – his ego. In general, initially high salaries in this sphere appeared in Russia from the early 2010s alongside the development of large IT companies, and this was easy to explain. I mean, let's say there is a doctor in Russia, let's say in Yaroslavl. A good, sought-after one. But where can he work? In any Russian hospital, where all salaries are more or less the same. Yes, in private clinics they'll pay him more, in state clinics less, in Moscow also more, but the difference is not critical. Accordingly, it is not necessary to pour too much money on the doctor. He still has no alternative. Only if he will go abroad, because firstly, moving to another country is a very serious thing, and secondly, to get permission to work there is a whole quest for a doctor. You need language skills, visas, certificates, etc, etc, etc. And now there is a good front-end developer in the same Yaroslavl. He can go and work for a local website development firm. Or he can sit at home and work for the similar American company, which will offer him a salary 10 times higher, right away. You don't need to move anywhere, basic knowledge of English will generally suffice. Visas, documents, no need. And then it will be possible to move if you want, because with an American salary it will be much easier. And how do you keep such a specialist in Russia? Only by raising his salary to a competitive level. and competitive not by Russian standards, but by world standards. The state and private companies understood it perfectly well, that's why salaries in this sphere were growing like a weed. And then, about 5-6 years ago, that's when IT specialists really got salaries 2-3 times higher than people in any other sector on average, and everyone knew about it. And as a result, a certain kind of cult emerged around IT in Russia, and since 2022 it has manifested itself in all its glory and has only intensified. In the fall of 2022, IT specialists immediately received deferments from mobilization, unlike even defense industry workers, reinforcing their status as a privileged group. Practically no other group got it in large numbers, but they did. How can you not believe that you, code writer Ivan, are really the elite of the country, the most valuable specialist for it? Or the subsidized mortgage program that existed from 2022 to 2024. Who could qualify for it? Residents of the far north and far east, families with multiple children, military personnel, and aitishniki. Another subject for envy was the profit tax for IT companies. Until the end of 2022 the rate is 0%. From 2025 it will be 5%, but for all other companies it will be 25%. Of course, the situation is paradoxical. Everyone knows that the lion's share of Russia's budget comes from oil and gas, that all the government's thoughts are now on the military-industrial complex, but the most abundant benefits are given to IT specialists for some reason.
Why? Who knows?
So what else attracts ordinary young people to IT apart from all these benefits? In many ways, the point is that we live in the age of the internet, which is created and maintained by IT guys. And accordingly, the entire internet is literally bursting with witting or unwitting advertisements of the IT lifestyle. Because of this, Russian society has long held the opinion that IT specialties are something very unique, but at the same time anyone can become an IT specialist. And this is partly true. The IT sector is not cosmonautics or high-performance sports. You can get there at any age. The main thing is to have sufficient skills and competencies. To learn to code you need diligence, a desire to learn, and, well, preferably know some basic math. That's it. Okay, a technical education is certainly a plus, but it's far from mandatory. Besides, as I have already said, you can safely call yourself an aitishnik and get all the bonuses of this status, even without being a purely technical specialist. The IT sphere is very diverse. There are a lot of self-taught people who have achieved success in the field without any higher education, and there are people with diplomas from prestigious universities who are in fact completely useless. Stories of people taking a 6-month course and landing high-paying jobs make IT seem like a social elevator, especially for those from poorer regions. Or stories about people working 4 or 5 jobs at once from home and making millions. Appealing? Of course it is. In addition, the internet is flooded with advertisements for online schools that promise to help you master a new profession and start making huge money in a few months. Thousands of people abandon their careers, enroll in these courses, and rush to take IT by storm. Usually, by the way, with no success. Such fans of quick and easy money realize that even in this field, in order to achieve a decent income, you need to work hard for years, and they quickly lose interest. Not everything in the world is measured by money. There is also status, social aspect, freedom of choice of workplace. And there are many advantages to working in the IT sector there too. Companies offer a fairly young and interesting team, the possibility of rapid career growth, challenging tasks, and the absence of routine. And of course, the last unique feature of working in the IT field is that your workplace fits in your bag. With programming skills, you can work in almost any country and company. In financial centers, startups, and large technology companies, anywhere. And even if you don't want to move, in what other sector can you so easily work remotely from any part of the world? And often with quite flexible schedules. Actually, this is the main reason why in 2022 IT workers received all sorts of benefits and protections so quickly. The government understood perfectly well that it is 10 times easier for specialists from this sector to move abroad and quickly find a job there than in any other industry. Again, you are a young man, and after a while you want to earn 200,000 rubles a month. You have 3 choices: to go work fly in fly out to Chukotka to drill boreholes, To go to a local factory as a welder's apprentice and in a few years you'll become a welder yourself. Or to sit in your favorite chair, learn a couple of programming languages in front of your favorite computer while drinking delicious tea. The choice is obvious. True, if you listen to the aitishniki themselves, they will tell you that not everything is so rosy, and in general they are actually underpaid. After all, they have constant deadlines and high responsibility and stress, and it's always necessary to self-improve, as if other professions don't have stress and responsibility. But for some reason they don't raise your salary by 20-30% for each year of experience, as they do everywhere in IT. At the same time, there is an opinion that the IT sector in Russia is insanely overheated and will burst one day. No, I am not arguing that the IT sector is very important. The development of IT areas is a catalyst for the growth of the entire country and the emergence of new services and facilities. Today, import substitution and digitalization are underway on all fronts. Budget money is pouring in. Large companies, especially those with state ownership, are being forced to change their software to Russian one, and prices for domestic software have increased many times over after the departure of competitors. Those IT companies that rewrite all that imported software are literally swimming in money. But even before the mass import substitution in recent years, the Russian market was openly hunting for programmers, developers and engineers. The trend towards a shortage of IT specialists began 5 or maybe even 7 years ago, and now it is still going on. Corporations such as Sber, Mail.ru and Yandex were driving their salaries sky high, poaching them as they build their ecosystems or products. It was important for these companies to be the first in this race, and as you know, all is fair in love and business. This also supported the illusion of some kind of eliteness, prestige of this sphere. On the other hand, are they wrong? After all, if average salaries in some profession are significantly higher than for other professions, it means that people are in demand and stand out from the general mass. Moreover, no one would dare to say that all these professions are useless. No, the country certainly needs them. We live in an era of explosive development of the computer industry. It is absolutely natural that specialists in this field are in maximum demand. But the problem is that the market situation looks more and more like a bubble. The state supports this trend. Many educational institutions have created or expanded departments for training IT specialists. The number of online courses that promise to teach from scratch and lure students with loud promises is increasing day by day. All this creates a lot of newcomers in this sphere, ready to start working in it with lower salaries and on less favorable conditions. That's why there is already a huge skew in the IT sphere. A bunch of hungry juniors looking for any kind of job for 6 months, while at the position of middles and seniors, companies are fighting for every more or less sane candidate with relevant experience. Plus, we should not forget that in the current conditions it is not so easy for a developer from Russia to get a job with a Western company, or simply put, almost impossible without complete relocation. Which means that local employers may soon realize this and start reducing the level of salaries offered. And that's not to mention the great and terrible AI which will replace us all, especially the code-typing monkeys. I would like to finish by saying that it seems to me, and you probably heard it in my voice too, that lately there is a certain aversion to aitishniki in Russian society. First of all, because people don't understand why they are treated like something precious, why they are so unique, why are they rolling in money. In addition, stereotypes are still alive that an aitishnik is a slouching four-eyed nerd in a baggy t-shirt with greasy hair. In general, a character that makes an ordinary Russian person feel more perplexed than impressed. Oh yes, it is also impossible to ignore the fact that Russian IT guys are not only the objects of envy, but also the generators of some of the most bizarre stories. Take for example Russian Twitter in the last couple of years. If you see some insanely idiotic thread like a fully paid trip to Thailand with a girl a guy barely knows, or a story of a man finding a bride using ChatGPT on Tinder, or cringe descriptions of sex in the ocean parking lot, or sex on a piss-covered mattress, or sex with a Filipino woman who had an orgasm in 40 seconds, then you just know it was definitely written by an aitishnik. The insanely inflated sense of self-importance of the IT guys doesn't help much too. They really believe that all of a person's problems could have been solved if they had just made the right career choice at the right time. You are a doctor and you spent 10 years studying your specialty. You fool, you could have attended a course and got into IT. There's not enough manpower in the factory. Well, they've all gone to IT. You are a talented mathematician and you'd like to promote fundamental science.
But why?
You'll get paid 20 times more in IT. No smoothies in the free smoothie machine at the plant. And in the office of our IT company. No, of course, all people can go into IT. For example, a survey among 250,000 residents of the country in 2022 showed that 33% of respondents plan to take online courses to get an IT specialty within a year or a little later. 1/3. Accordingly, in theory, this third will leave their current jobs and go conquer the IT Everest. For example, teachers are sitting at a school meeting before the school year, and then suddenly 10 out of 30 say goodbye to their colleagues, leaving to seek happiness in the field of technology. Okay, maybe for some of them it will remain a dream, not 1 in 3, but 1 in 5. But something tells me that then the entire economy of the state will collapse. After all, IT is, in most situations, applying technologies to specific markets and phenomena that exist outside of IT. If there will be no more simple, non-prestigious professions, then all these new apps and websites will be created for whom? Especially in the current Russian conditions of a colossal shortage of workers, connected both with the demographic peak of the 90s and with other obvious factors. Yes, there is a shortage of workers both at factories and IT enterprises, but if the state can somehow survive without innovative fintech solutions, it can hardly survive without industry. Therefore, it is likely that in the very near future, aitishniki at the very least will gradually lose all the privileges that the state has generously bestowed upon them, and the gap in salaries will most likely become even smaller than it is now. Will they no longer be the elite? They will certainly not stop considering themselves as such. Thanks for watching. As always, you can support the channel with crypto or by subscribing to my Patreon. By the way, it's my channel's anniversary, 5 years. It's also Thanksgiving and Christmas, so in the next month you can use this promo code to get 15% off your first month or year of subscription to my Patreon. And as always, a huge shout out to my biggest supporters: Yelizaveta Zakharova, Kirill, Klimuk, Böse, Jimmy Albin, Petar, Ilic and Marina Holiday. See you guys next time.